Welcome to Chinese History and Mythology. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Investiture of the Gods. Let's pick up where we left off. Last time, we talked about how the Zhou army, led by Jiang-Zi-Ya, gathered all 800 lords. A force of 1,600,000 men pressed up to the walls of Zhou and sealed off the capital of Shang so tightly that not even water could leak through. Inside and outside the city were like two different worlds. Outside was a sea of flags, the sound of men and horses shaking the earth. Inside the city were only panic, fear, and helplessness. When King Zhou of Shang heard the Zhou army had reached the city gates, he almost could not stay on his throne. He climbed the city tower and looked out. All he saw was a dark mass of soldiers and horses. Shaoji looked like a single lonely stone surrounded by floodwaters. After he came down from the wall, he anxiously asked his civil and military officials, "What do we do?" Everyone kept their heads down. No one dared to answer. Fei Lian offered a plan, put up recruitment notices again and asked for talented people to come save the kingdom. Lu Renjie urged King Zhou to hurry and prepare to defend the city instead of waiting until the enemy was at the gates and panicking then. King Zhou listened to them both, but still had no clear idea. All he could do was post the notices and train troops at the same time, hoping to hold on as long as he could. Just then, the story shifts its focus to a quiet little place, 30 li outside Zhou. There, a scholar who had lived in seclusion for many years was sitting at home. His surname was Ding, his given name, Si. When he heard that the Zhou army had reached the city, he sighed that the 600-year realm of Shang would now be destroyed in the hands of King Zhou. He did not expect that his two sworn brothers, Guo Chen and Dong Zhong, would rush in one after the other to find him. Guo Chen urged Ding Si, "You can't hide in the mountains any longer. The kingdom is about to fall. This is exactly the time for you to come out." But Ding Si shook his head and said that the Shang court was already rotten down to the bone and could no longer be saved. Right then, Dong Zhong suddenly burst through the door and told them directly, "I already wrote all three of our names on the recruitment notice and sent it to Fei Lian's office. Fei Lian has already passed our names up to the Son of Heaven. Tomorrow we are going into the palace." Ding Si was stunned on the spot. To him, everything was happening too, suddenly. Guo Chen, however, slapped his thigh with joy. "This is good. This is fast." The next day, the three of them were summoned into Zhou and met King Zhou of Shang. They were appointed as great generals on the spot. The king told them, "As long as you can drive the Zhou army away, I will make you lords at once." The three of them put on golden belts and purple robes, bowed in thanks in the great hall, and went straight to the imperial feast. But in their hearts, they all knew this was no ordinary appointment. They were being pushed onto a road where 9 out of 10 steps meant death. Outside Zhou, the war drums could start at any moment. Inside Zhou, everyone was waiting. Who would change the outcome of this war that could destroy a dynasty? Let's continue. Early the next morning, Ding Si, Guo Chen, and Dong Zhong went to see Lu Renjie. Lu Renjie led the imperial guards and marched out of Zhou city. When Jiang-Zi-Ya heard the news, he ordered all his generals to leave camp and form up in front of the Shang army's lines. When Lu Renjie heard that the Zhou army had come, he personally led a large force to the front of the formation. He looked up and saw Jiang-Zi-Ya riding his 4-knot-like beast, with rows of cultivators standing on both sides. On the left was Nuh-zhah, standing on his wind and fire wheels, holding his fire golden spear. On the right was Yang Jian, wearing a light yellow battle robe, 3-pointed blade in hand, riding a white horse. Lei Zhenzi, Wei Hu, Jin, Za, Mu-za, Li Jing, Nengangxi, Wu Ji were all standing behind them, and beside them were the massive forces of the 800 lords. It was an overwhelming sight. Lu Renjie sighed in his heart, but he still urged his horse forward and shouted, "Respectful greetings to Jiang-Zi-Ya." Jiang-Zi-Ya cupped his hands in return and asked, "Who are you?" Lu Renjie answered, "I am Lu Renjie, Marshal-in-Chief of King Zhou's forces." "Jiang-Zi-Ya, you are a Taoist from Kunlun Mountain. Why do you not obey the laws of the state? Why have you brought troops to attack Zhou and cause so many deaths? Now the Son of Heaven is willing to forgive all your past crimes. If you withdraw your army and let everyone return to their own lands and live their lives in peace, all will be well. If you stay stubborn and will not listen, Once the Son of Heaven is truly angered, he will personally lead 6 routes of troops and wipe you out completely. Jiang-Zi-Ya laughed. Since you are King Zhou's trusted minister, how can you not see what is happening? King Zhou has done every evil thing possible. Both men and gods hate him. All the lords of the world have come to punish him. For more than 600 years, the Shang dynasty has endured. By the time it reached King Zhou, it has rotted completely. If King Tang, the founder, were still alive and saw what King Zhou is doing now, would he not strike him too? I am now following heaven's will and punishing a tyrant, yet you still speak for King Zhou. Behind you stands only this small city of Zhao. How can it stand against 800 lords of the realm? Either you surrender at once, or we start the battle. Do not speak such muddled words again. Lu Renjie's face flushed red with anger. I thought you were a man of virtue, and I wanted to reason with you. I did not expect you to bully the weak and fear the strong. He turned and shouted, "Who will capture this rebel for me?" Guo Chen was the first to leap out. He rode forward, swinging his large saber, and charged straight for Jiang-Zi-Ya. Nan Gongxi rode in to block him, and the two crashed together in battle. The war drums thundered, and both armies moved forward to fight. Dingxi also rode forward, his long spear in hand, and charged. Wu Ji rode up to meet him and stopped him. The southern Marquis Yishun spurred his horse forward and rushed in, only to be stopped by Dongzhang. When the East Earl Jiang Wenhan saw the two sides fighting fiercely, he grew excited and rode straight in, cutting Dongzhang in half with one stroke. He killed like a raging tiger in front of the Shang lines. Seeing this, Neijie shouted, "I want to earn some merit too." He rode in on his wind and fire wheels, spear in hand, and charged. Yang Jian also rode his white horse toward the front, only to be stopped by Lu Renjie. The banners shook across the battlefield, and the sound of killing made the sky and earth tremble. Nuh-zhah fought Dingxi furiously, and Guo Chen came to help. Nuh-zhah threw his sky-shaking arrow. It struck Dingxi squarely. Dingxi was a mortal man. He died on the spot. Guo Chen panicked and tried to flee, but Yang Jian caught up to him and cut him down with a single stroke. Dingxi, Guo Chen, and Dongzhang, the 3 sworn brothers, all died in this battle. Seeing that the situation was turning against him, Lu Renjie immediately ordered a retreat and pulled his troops back to camp. On Jiang-Zi-Ya's side, he also sounded the gong and called his troops back. Lu Renjie returned to Zhaoji and reported that all 3 generals had been killed and the army routed. King Zhou of Shang turned pale and asked his ministers, "The Zhou army is right outside the city. We fight and lose, and there is no one in the realm left to use. What do we do?" Yin Po-bai stepped out and said, "We cannot win by force now. We should use a soft approach. I have met Jiang-Zi-Ya once before. I am willing to risk my life and go to the Zhou camp. I will speak to him about the righteousness between ruler and subject and persuade the lords to withdraw. If I cannot convince him, I will curse them to their faces as traitors and die on the spot." "It does not matter." King Zhou nodded. "Go and try." Yin Po-bai accepted the order, left the city, and went to the Zhou camp. When Jiang-Zi-Ya saw him, he rose to greet him. Yin Po-bai said, "Marshal, we have not seen each other for many years. I did not expect that today you would be leading all the lords of the world. Truly impressive. I came today to say something from my heart. I do not know if the marshal is willing to listen." Jiang-Zi-Ya said, "Please speak, old general." Yin Po-bai sat down and said, "The Son of Heaven is as high as heaven itself. Can men kill heaven? To defy the Son of Heaven has always meant death. For more than 600 years, the lords and the common people have received the grace of the Shang dynasty. Now you have surrounded the city and forced your lord. This is rebellion. On the battlefield, so many on both sides have died. Does your heart not ache? In my view, you should send the lords back to their own lands to rest and recover and stop harming the living. The Son of Heaven will not pursue your past actions. Everyone will live in peace. Would that not be best?" Jiang-Zi-Ya smiled. "Old general, what you say is not right. The world does not belong to one man. It belongs to the people of the world. Only a man of virtue can be Son of Heaven. King Zhou is so wicked that heaven's mandate has left him. All under heaven hate him. He is no longer the Son of Heaven. He is a tyrant alone. A tyrant may be killed by anyone. If the Son of Heaven does not pursue us, we still must pursue the crimes of the so-called Son of Heaven. I am carrying out punishment on behalf of heaven. I am an official appointed by heaven itself. How can I be bound by the human rules of ruler and subject? Yin Po-bai would not accept this and instead cursed Jiang-Zi-Ya. You claim to act for heaven, but in truth, you are using this chance to slaughter cities and make the world cry. For your own fame and merit, how many innocent people have you killed? The lords immediately shouted him down. Before Jiang-Zi-Ya could answer, the East Earl Jiang Wenhuan drew his sword and pointed at Yin Po-bai. You are a great minister of the state, yet you did not persuade King Zhou to change his ways. Instead, you come here to talk nonsense. You slander us, you deserve to die. If you don't leave now, I will kill you today. Jiang-Zi-Ya hurried to stop him. Two sides at war do not kill the envoy, but Yin Po-bai, driven to anger, pointed at Jiang Wenhuan and shouted, Your father conspired with the queen to kill the Son of Heaven. Now you come here to rebel. If I cannot help the king kill you while I live, then after I die, I will become a vengeful ghost and hunt you all down. Rage flared in Jiang Wenhuan's heart. He swung his sword and cut Yin Po-bai in two. Jiang-Zi-Ya wanted to stop him, but it was too late. The lords all shouted, Good kill! Jiang-Zi-Ya sighed. Since it has come to this, we will at least give him a proper burial. Then he immediately ordered the whole army to prepare to storm the city. King Zhou of Shang was discussing matters with his civil and military officials in the Great Hall of Zhaoji. Just then, the gates officer from the Meridian Gate rushed in to report that Yin Po-bai had been killed by the Zhou army. When King Zhou heard this, he became furious. At his side, Yin Po-bai's son, Yin Chengshu, fell to his knees crying and said, Two nations at war must not kill the envoy. Jiang Shang killed the messenger who came to speak. I am willing to give my life to avenge my father. King Zhou comforted him. The rebels of the Zhou army ignore all rules of courtesy. They are truly hateful. If you wish to avenge your father, your loyalty and filial piety are rare. Go, but be careful. Yin Chengshu took a team of soldiers out of the city and shouted a challenge before the Zhou camp. When Jiang Wenhuan heard someone was challenging, he rode out to face him. The two met, cursed each other, and began fighting fiercely. In less than 30 rounds, Jiang Wenhuan cut Yin Chengshu down with a single stroke. Jiang Wenhuan jumped off his horse, cut off Yin Chengshu's head, and brought it back to the Zhou camp. Back in Zhaogei, the gate officer reported everything to King Zhou. Hearing this, King Zhou grew even more anxious and angry. He asked those around him, The situation is already extremely dangerous. What can we do? Before the officials could answer, another soldier rushed in and reported, The Zhou army is attacking all 4 city gates. They've set up many cloud ladders and siege tools. It is getting hard to hold. King Zhou had just opened his mouth when Lu Renjie stepped forward and said, Your Majesty, allow your servant to guard the walls? Let me stop the enemy first, then plan our next move. King Zhou nodded. Lu Renjie immediately led troops up onto the city walls. On the Zhou side, when Jiang-Zi-Ya saw that Zhaoji's defenses were tight and hard to break, he ordered the gong to be struck and pulled the troops back. Jiang-Zi-Ya gathered his generals and said, Lu Renjie is loyal and responsible. He will defend the city with all his strength. The walls of Zhaozi are solid. If we keep attacking by force, we will only waste our strength. We must use strategy. His disciples said, We can use magic to slip into the city and open the gates from within. It will succeed in one move. Jiang-Zi-Ya shook his head. If we do that, once troops enter the city, the common people will definitely be harmed. We came to save the people, not hurt them. The disciples nodded. Marshal, your heart is kind, and your vision is far. Jiang-Zi-Ya already had an idea. The people of Zhaoji hate King Zhou so much, they grind their teeth. We should write a proclamation to tell them the Zhou army has not come to kill, but to save them. Shoo the notice into the city and let the people decide. Once their hearts waver, Zhaoji will fall without a fight. All the generals agreed. Marshal, this is the best plan. Jiang-Zi-Ya quickly took up a brush, wrote a notice, had it copied many times, and ordered his men to shoot them into the city. Inside, Zhao soldiers and citizens picked up the notices and read them. The message said, "King Zhou is cruel, while the Zhou king is benevolent. The Zhou army could attack at once, but fears harming innocent people. We ask the people to surrender the city and spare Jiang-Zi from war." When the citizens and elders read it, they all began discussing, "We've suffered under King Zhou as if dying every day. Jiang-Zi will be taken sooner or later. Why not surrender ourselves and save the nation from disaster?" The discussions spread quickly. Voices rose louder and louder. Finally, at the third watch of the night, all 4 city gates suddenly opened. People and soldiers lit torches and rushed out, shouting loudly, "We are willing to surrender, Jiang-Zi. We welcome the true rulers." The sound was so loud, it seemed to shake the sky. At that moment, Jiang-Zi-Ya was meditating in his tent. Suddenly, he heard the sound of the cloud board being struck. He quickly sent people to check. The scout returned and reported, "The people have opened the city gates." They asked the marshal to enter and take command. Jiang-Zi-Ya was overjoyed. He ordered, "Each gate may allow only 50,000 soldiers to enter Zhao. All other troops must remain outside. Those entering must not kill, must not loot, and must not disturb the people. Anyone violating military law will be executed immediately." The Zhou army entered according to the order. Though there were many, everything remained orderly and the people's lives were not disrupted. Jiang-Zi-Ya gathered the troops outside the Meridian Gate, and the lords set up their camps in and outside the city according to rank. Just like that, Zhao was surrendered into the hands of the Zhao army by its own people. King Zhou was drinking and eating with Daji in the palace when he suddenly heard a huge wave of shouting from outside. He immediately set down his cup and asked the palace officer, "What is that noise outside?" The officer went to check. A moment later, he rushed back in panic. "Your Majesty, something grave has happened. The people and soldiers of Zhao have surrendered the city. The armies of the lords of the world are at the Meridian Gate right now." King Zhou's face turned pale. He hurriedly straightened his clothes and stepped out of the palace. He immediately summoned all officials to the Great Hall. Looking at them, he said, "I never expected the people to be so bold as to disobey orders and surrender Jiang-Zi to the Zhou army. What do we do now?" Lu Renjie stepped forward. "The capital has already fallen. We might as well rely on the city walls and fight the Zhou army in one last decisive battle." King Zhou braced himself and said loudly, "That is exactly what I intend." At the same time, in the Zhou camp, Jiang-Zi-Ya discussed matters with the lords. He said, "Today we have reached the outskirts of Zhao. Today, we must settle victory and defeat with King Zhou. I ask all lords and all soldiers to give everything you have." The lords responded together, "Everything follows the marshal's command. We are willing to fight with our lives." Jiang-Zi-Ya issued the order, "All generals, march in formation. No one may move out of line. Whoever breaks formation will be punished by military law." The drums of the Zhou army thundered. Shouts spread across the whole city. Gold drums boomed so loud it felt as if the earth itself was shaking. King Zhou, in the 9 halls, heard the drums and shouting. Just then, the gate officer from the Meridian Gate came to report, "The lords of the world have sent envoys asking your majesty to come out and speak on the battlefield." King Zhou put on his armor, mounted his warhorse Shou Yao, and took up his golden-backed saber, preparing to go out himself. He ordered the imperial guards to form up around him. Lu Renjie guarded at his side. Generals Lei Kun and Lei Peng stood on the left and right. The palace gates opened, and King Zhou led his banners, weapons, and troops through the Meridian Gate. On the Zhou side, Jiang-Zi-Ya's troops lifted 2 great red flags. One formation after another marched out of the camp. When King Zhou saw how Jiang-Zi-Ya arranged his formations, he felt deeply uneasy. The Zhou army's 5-element formations lined up in perfect order, weapons shining, and the lords stood packed together far beyond the number of thousands. Jiang-Zi-Ya's disciples also stood at his sides, each wearing bright armor and full of spirit. 24 officials in red robes stood in 2 rows like the wings of a giant bird. In the center was a great red umbrella. Under it, Jiang-Zi-Ya rode his 4-knot-like beast forward. His hair was white, but his armor made him look steady and powerful. Behind him stood Jiang Wenhan, Yi Shan, Chang Ying Luan, and Wu King Jifa, all holding red parasols, forming a majestic procession. Jiang-Zi-Ya looked up and saw King Zhou wearing a phoenix wing helmet, yellow chain armor, and carrying the execution whip, the execution sword, and the golden-backed blade. He looked fierce and imposing. Jiang-Zi-Ya bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, your old minister Jiang Shang is in armor and cannot perform the full bow." King Zhou studied him for a long moment and said, "So, you are Jiang Shang? I almost did not recognize you." Jiang-Zi-Ya answered, "It is I," King Zhou said coldly. "You once served in Zhao. I did not treat you poorly. Why do you now lead troops in rebellion? Was the rank I gave you not high enough? You forced me to take the field myself." "Truly hateful," Jiang-Zi-Ya replied with a faint smile. "Your Majesty, you care only for pleasure and have driven the people to misery. Your crimes are too many. All the lords of the world have come to punish you." When King Zhou heard those earlier words, his face darkened. He asked coldly, "What crimes have I committed?" "You've gone too far." Jiang-Zi-Ya stepped forward, lifted his hand, and pressed downward. He spoke loudly to the 800 lords. "Hear me, all lords. Today I will speak out the 10 great crimes committed by King Zhou, one by one, under the sunlight, before all people, so that he will have nothing left to say." The surroundings fell silent. Even the clashing of weapons slowly faded. Jiang-Zi-Ya spoke, his voice steady and heavy. The first crime. You are the son of heaven, yet you spend your days drinking and playing with women. You do not attend court, you do not govern. The people cry below, and you laugh above. Are you worthy of being called the son of heaven? The second crime. The queen advised you to restrain yourself, to stop your chaos, and you gouged out her eyes, burned her hands with fire. She was the mother of this nation, yet you tortured her like that. Are you still human? The third crime. You suspected your own son would stand in your way in the future, so you killed the child with your own hands. Even wild beasts protect their young. You are worse than a beast. The fourth crime. Your loyal ministers spoke truth for the sake of the nation, and you ripped out their hearts and smashed their heads. They were loyal servants, yet you treated them as enemies. You destroyed the righteousness between ruler and minister with your own hands. The fifth crime. Your ears hear only the whispers of petty men. Someone speaks a few poisoned words before you, and you seize households. You behead people, you kill the lords. Those guarding the borders became criminals overnight. Who in the world would still risk their life for you? By now, King Zhou's face had turned dark as iron. Jiang-Zi-Ya continued, his voice colder. The sixth crime. You built the burning torture racks and dug pits full of venomous serpents. It was not to make the people obey the law. It was for your pleasure, to watch them suffer. You treated punishment as a toy, and human bodies as your amusement. The seventh crime. The people worked through the year, harvested their grain, and handed it up. You did not feed the army. You did not relieve disaster. You used their wealth to build wine pools, meat forests, and the deer terrace. You drank until you could barely stand, while the people could not even drink thin porridge. The eighth crime. You desired the wives of your ministers and went to harass them when Lady Huang warned you to keep the rules of propriety. You killed her in shame and rage by throwing her from a high tower. You trampled the rules between ruler and minister, father and son, husband and wife. Jiang-Zi-Ya lifted his hand and pointed toward the city, his voice sinking. The ninth crime. When common people walked by a small river and displeased your eyes, you ordered their legs cut off. When a pregnant woman carried a child, you cut her open to test whether DAG's words were true. What crime had they committed? Walking. Being pregnant. What did you take the people for? After he said this, many generals on the walls and below clenched their teeth. Jiang-Zi-Ya spoke the last crime, nearly shouting it through one breath. The 10th crime. Every day you drank on the deer terrace with Da, Ji, and the others. You killed young boys, treating living children as meat. You sliced out people's kidneys for your soup. You treated human life as food, life itself as something on your plate. He stared straight at King Zhou. All these, T-H. One was ordered by you. Do you still dare to say you have no crimes? Jiang-Zi-Ya raised his voice again. Asterisk, King Zhou, you do not honor heaven. You do not care for the people. You do not love your own kin. The whole world curses you. Even ghosts and spirits record your sins. I stand here today not as your minister. I act under heaven's mandate to punish evil. You are not my ruler, and I am not your servant. You are only a sinner with monstrous crimes. King Zhou was struck speechless. All color drained from his face. And at that moment, all 800 lords raised their weapons together and roared in unison, "Destroy the tyrant." Heaven's mandate belongs to Zhou. The shout rose from below the walls to above them. From the crowds to the clouds, even the bricks of Zhou trembled faintly. Outside the city, the tension was stretched to its limit. Jiang-Zi-Ya had just finished announcing the 10 crimes of King Zhou, and all the lords were burning with anger, ready to surge forward. At that moment, the Eastern Marquis Jiang Wenhon shouted, "Tyrant! Don't you dare retreat. Today I will make you pay with your own life." My father, Jiang Quanchu, you ordered him cut into pieces. My sister, Queen Jiang, you gouged out her eyes, burned her hands, tortured her until she died. Today, I can finally avenge them. As soon as Jiang Wenhan shouted this, the southern Marquis Yishan urged his green-maned horse forward. "Wicked king! You killed Jiangbro's father, and you murdered his sister. With hatred like this, we cannot live under the same sky with you. Jiang, brother, let's strike together." Yishan raised his long spear and thrust straight toward King Zhou's chest. King Zhou did not retreat. He blocked the spear with his blade and counterattacked. Jiang Wenhan also swung his own blade, riding hard into the fray. The three of them fought violently right in front of the Meridian Gate. The northern Marquis Shang Yingluan saw the fury of their assault and rushed forward as well. "I will help you both." Seeing more riders closing in, King Zhou did not hesitate. He poured all his strength into that single moment, swinging his blade and blocking all three weapons at once, fighting desperately. 3 marquises surrounded him. King Zhou alone held off the 3. The sight made every soldier watching tense with shock. From a distance, King Wu Jifa sat on the pacing stallion Xiaoyao, sighing again and again. When the Son of Heaven loses all virtue, his ministers are forced to this point. Now the lords of the world are fighting their own king. What has the world become? The order of heaven has overturned. Jifa nudged his horse toward Jiang-Zi-Ya and said, "Marshal, how can the 3 marquises fight the Son of Heaven like this? Even if King Zhou has done wrong, we are still his ministers. Ruler and subject cannot break apart like this. Please persuade them to stop." Jiang-Zi-Ya shook his head. "My lord, you heard me earlier. I already announced the 10 crimes. His evils are too many. Heaven and earth reject him. All under heaven are free to punish him. I act according to heaven's will." Jifa insisted, "But he is still the Son of Heaven. How can we, as subjects, strike him? Please call them back." Jiang-Zi-Ya thought to himself, "The king is benevolent to benevolent. This is not a moment to discuss ritual propriety." He ordered his soldiers, "Beat the war drums." The drum roll meant only one thing. "O lords, full assault." Hearing the drums, all 800 lords surged forward, encircling King Zhou in a tightening ring. King Wu did not yet understand the meaning of the drums. He could only sit there, breathing hard with worry. 35 of the fiercest cavalrymen charged from both sides into the battle circle, surrounding King Zhou even tighter. Lu Renjie shouted to Lei Kun and Lei Peng, "The king's life hangs by a thread. We are his ministers. Even if we die, we must save him." Lei Kun roared, "Brother is right. We fight to the death." The three of them plunged into the deadly melee. Chaos erupted everywhere. King Zhou fought alone against the lords of the realm, slashing, blocking spears, parrying swords, forcing back blow after blow, refusing to fall. Jiang Wenhuan struck like a blade of wind. Yi Shun charged like a wild beast. Chang Yingluan swung his sword with cold brilliance. From the Zhou forces, Nangongshi fought relentlessly. All around, soldiers closed in from every side. Though alone, King Zhou grew fiercer the more he fought. Suddenly, he struck with a heavy blow, killing the southern Marquis Yi Shun beneath his horse. Beside him, Lu Renjie thrust his spear and killed Lin Shan of the Zhou army. At this, Nuh-zhah was enraged. Standing on his winged and fire wheels, he charged. "Stop your arrogance. I'm coming." Yang Jian, Lei Jianzi, Wei Hu, Jin, Za, and Mu-zhah all shouted, "Brothers, if we don't strike now, what are we waiting for?" They all rushed forward. Yang Jian swung once and killed Lei Kun. Nuh-zhah hurled his universe ring and smashed Lu Renjie to death. Lei Jianzi lifted his staff and killed Lei Pang with a single blow. Jiang Wenhuan, eager to take merit as others did, switched weapons, raised his great whip and lashed it hard across King Zhou's back. King Zhou could not dodge. The heavy strike nearly knocked him from his horse. He forced himself upright, retreated toward the Meridian Gate, and slammed the gate shut behind him. The lords chased to the gate, shouting thunderously. Jiang-Zi-Ya saw King Zhou retreat and immediately struck the gong to recall the army. Back in the central command tent, Jiang-Zi-Ya counted the fallen 26 generals died, including the southern Marquis Yi Shun. Everyone felt heavy sorrow. King Wu sighed. "This battle has destroyed the bond between ruler and minister. Jiang Wenhuan, you whipped the Son of Heaven before all under heaven." "I cannot take this lightly," Jiang Wenhuan replied at once. "My lord, what softness remains to pity him? King Zhou committed countless crimes. People were driven to death. Even killing him on the spot today would have been heaven's justice. Why still feel sorry for him?" Jiang-Zi-Ya sat beneath the dim tent lamps, watching the firelight flicker on the city walls. He knew clearly. This battle was only half done. The other half waited for tomorrow. He looked at King Wu and said, "My lord, King Zhou has been forced back into the city, but he will not yield so easily. What we face next is his final struggle." Silence filled the command tent. Night pressed down. Inside Kaioj, lights flared in confusion. No one could tell whether the guards were running in panic, or whether King Zhou had exploded into another fury. In the Zhou camp, no one dared raise their voice. All waited for the next command. King Zhou, struck painfully by Jiang Wenhuan's whip, retreated to the palace. He sat in the nine-chamber hall, head lowered, silent and heavy-hearted. At that moment, Filian and Ally hurried in to console him. Filian said, "Your Majesty fought in the midst of countless enemy troops, and still cut down several Zhou generals today, already extraordinary. The whip strike from Jiang Wenhuan needs only some days' rest. Once your Majesty recovers, we fight again, and surely prevail." King Zhou shook his head. "My loyal ministers are mostly dead. My civil and military officials have scattered. I myself am wounded. I no longer have the face to fight them again." He removed his armor, piece by piece, set it aside, and walked into the inner palace. Filian watched his departing figure and whispered to Ali, "The lords have surrounded the royal city so tightly, it seems the Shang dynasty cannot be saved. What a pity the wealth we accumulated for years will be useless." Ali laughed softly. "Brother, how foolish. If King Zhou is finished, we can submit to the Zhou army. King Wu is benevolent. Jiang-Zi-Ya is wise. They won't blame us. If we surrender, we will still live comfortably." Filian slapped his thigh. "Brother, you're right. But to surrender, we need a gift. When the Zhou break into the palace, you and I will slip into the inner court amid the chaos, steal the imperial jade seal, and present it to King Wu. Once he sees the seal, he will not punish us. He will reward us generously." Ali nodded. "Excellent plan. People of later generations will call us clever. The two brothers laughed together. Meanwhile, King Zhou entered the inner palace. Dag, Hu Zaimei, and Lady Wang hurried to greet him. Seeing them, King Zhou suddenly felt a deep sorrow. He sat, voice trembling. In the past, I was too proud. I looked down on Jifa and Jiang-Zi-Ya, never guarded against them. Now they have brought the lords of the world and surrounded the capital. I fought them today and killed several rebellious ministers. But I myself was badly wounded. From the founding of the Shang to now 28 generations, I have become the king who loses the nation. I have no face left to meet the ancestors. Saying this, he burst into tears. He wiped his face, still crying. What I cannot bear most is the three of you. We were together every day. To part suddenly. My heart aches. My death is deserved. But if I die, what will become of you? I can no longer protect you. Daji, Hu Zaimei, and Lady Wang all wept. Daji leaned on his knee and said softly, "To meet your majesty was the fortune of our lives. Your grace, we will never forget. Now that things have come to this, where else could we go? Can your majesty bear to leave us?" King Zhou cried and sighed. "If Jiang-Zi-Ya captures me, it will be humiliation beyond measure. I will leave you three first. I have another destination." Daji clutched his robe. "Hearing this tears my heart. How can your majesty bear to leave us so?" King Zhou called for wine. One final banquet to bid farewell. Daji lifted the cup to him. He drank and said, "My mind is chaos. Even this wine has no taste." Daji wiped her tears and said, "Your majesty need not worry. I was born into a military family and trained since childhood. Hu Zaimei and Lady Wang also know their arts. Tonight, the three of us will go to the Zhou camp. If we succeed, your majesty will have no more troubles." King Zhou stared at them in shock. "I never thought the day would come when the three of you must fight on my behalf." Dag poured more wine. After the final cups, she and Hu Zaimei and Lady Wang put on armor for the first time. Hair tied, weapons in hand, standing before King Zhou cold-eyed and resolute, King Zhou looked at the three of them. For the first time dressed in armor, his heart filled with sorrow and tenderness. He could not help but smile faintly, but his eyes were full of pain. Yet no one knew what would happen in Kyoshi tomorrow. Forced into a dead end. Would King Zhou fight again himself? Would Dag stir him toward an even harsher choice? Could the Zhou army take Kyogs without harming the people? We'll continue in the next episode. This is Bunny. In my own way, I'll follow China's historical timeline to tell you mythic stories and unpack the history and culture behind them. Thanks for listening. Please follow the show, and I'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, quick heads up. My other show, Monkey King's Son, Wukong, Journey to the West, is now live. If you love Journey to the West, if you're a true fan of Sun Wukong, you don't want to miss this. I'll walk you through a fresh reading of the story, clear, simple, and fun. We'll unpack the characters and plot, and I'll point out the hidden meanings and the rich Chinese cultural power inside this classic. Just search Monkey King's Sun Wukong, Journey to the West. Look for the show with the same icon as this one. Follow along with Bonnie, and let's rediscover Journey to the West together.